Mita. Can I please welcome Paul McMahon from the Waitai Community Board? Welcome, and Jackie, of course. Now, before we start, time is of the essence today, and if people, submitters, get finished before their allotted time, that's good. But I just ask councillors that, because we won't have enough time if everyone wants to ask a question, that if you are allowed to ask a question, and I will move it around so it's no one's getting any preference above anyone else, that there's just one question and make it a goodie, because we won't have time to keep everyone happy. So please fire away.
Right. Tēnā koutou katoa. Hello again. At a high level, the Waitai Coastal-Burwood-Linwood Community Board is supportive of this long-term plan. It, broadly speaking, does get the balance about right. While we need to get back to funding renewals and depreciation from rates, the desire to smooth the rates rise impacts on residents is understandable. It's our residents out east, after all, who will struggle the most to absorb those rate rises. The council's not in a precarious situation when it comes to debt to revenue ratios or anything, but previous council's decisions to take on too much and underrate are meaning we're spending a higher proportion of our rates on funding debt. I think we should be frank with residents and ratepayers that if the council was to keep its spending to CPI, it would mean doing less of the things that they like, and it would constrain the growth and development of Christchurch. There is no free lunch, unfortunately. Running a city is expensive, and it's got more expensive, especially after a generation of underinvestment and myopic, ideologically driven retrenchment. As an example, the council never should have contracted out so much of our core work, and it is rightly in the process of bringing some of that back in-house. That's 2 decades of inefficiency costs right there. And one thing I think that would help the council would be to have a works committee with oversight of the program budgets. I get the sense that when there are cost savings on individual projects, that those savings are then put back into the program, and we elected members never actually see those savings. I think it would help to be able to celebrate the things that we do under cost, things that we do efficiently, and for the public to know about those things, and for elected members to get more say on how those savings are used. In my view, to have proper oversight of your spending in all areas, you need proper committee structure and one that is resourced with proper staffing, and it would also increase transparency to the public. And now onto some detail. The board strongly supports the Airbnb rate. They are businesses and should be rated as such. We also support incorporating targeted rates into general rates rather than into the uniform annual general charge, because that is a fairer way of doing things for low-income households. Yes, there are exceptions to this, but as a rule, the burden should fall on wealthier households. The rates remission policy change is not supported by the board, and we think it should be kept simple with as little red tape as possible. We have mixed views about charging for parking at Hagley Park and the Botanic Gardens, but think that these concerns would be mitigated by having the first hour of that parking free. We are glad that service levels have not been reduced, but in some areas it would help to build trust with our communities if they were increased a little. Increasing rubbish removal and weeding in our suburban centres, for instance, and increased backflow valve maintenance along the rivers, and regular lifting of the beach boardwalks along Pegasus Bay. These are just a few small things that would really help improve amenity in our communities. The board has identified 5 priorities in the capital program, with Pages Road Bridge being the top priority. I won't belabour the point, only to say that it must go ahead whether the government funds it or not, and we should tell Minister Ducey his bypass isn't as important as this lifeline. After a generation of decline, New Brighton Mall has a viable plan for its future, thanks to some good work by Council, Christchurch NZ, the Harris family, together with SEAD, have come up with something concrete, a really good plan, and all the council needs to do is to fund the projects in the LTP to make it work. We also remain steadfastly supportive of the work along the edge of the Ihutai and wish to acknowledge Mana Whenua for their patience in coming to an understanding with council to ensure that it proceeds. We understand also that there were some last-minute requests for additional funding to mitigate the impact of the wastewater treatment plant fire stench on residents, so please ensure you're clear that they have all that they need. It goes without saying, but that plant needs replacing as soon as possible. And please also make sure that the Marshlands Hall Trust has everything they need within the funding to produce the business case as well as the capital. While we've made a good start with the Capital Endowment Fund allocation yesterday, the Council should allocate specific funding to ensure that we have an operative integrated tsunami evacuation plan, a response plan, and that community is supported to develop their own response plans. We can't should we write this. It could happen tomorrow. If we could do this also in conjunction with the Coastal Hazards Adaptation Planning, which would be talking to all the same people, it would be a lot more efficient and would save us reconsulting repeatedly the most consulted people in the city. Street renewals, even minor improvements, are valuable to residents. We would love to see more of them, with particular mention of Hay Street, Maces Road and Ruru Road, all in Bromley, and Bower Ave, which all badly need resurfacing. The cutting of surf has badly impacted our area, and it feels as if a rug has been pulled out from underneath our feet. I'd like to make special mention of Waion and Hulbert street renewals, which are over 15 years behind schedule. There are significant drainage issues and coal tar that need removing, as well as challenges of intensification above old infrastructure. It'd be great to see these streets high up the renewals program, since we couldn't afford to fund it with our CRAF allocation. It is disappointing that we don't have a major cycle route out east yet, and we ask that you allocate $100,000 or so to fund the planning of the Otakaro Avon major cycle route, so that our residents can reap the benefits of the network too. Otherwise, they're locked out. The top concern of residents in the What Matters Most consultation was flooding, and so I finished asking you to ensure that the stormwater management plans and associated works are progressed as soon as possible. Last time I looked, and this may have changed, there was a $40 million reduction in stormwater and flood protection. So now that the consenting issues water takes has been sorted with ECAN, there should be no delay. Sea level rise is real and it is coming. Next time there's a high tide and a 0.4 metre storm surge, now we'll know. And finally, the board loves libraries and our library network, and the people who work in it are gifts that we all benefit from. Public libraries are valuable spaces where all of us, no matter who we are, no matter how much money we have or where we live across the city, we can access on the basis that we are citizens of this great city for zero cost. They're places where we all belong and all cohere together. So thank you, and very happy to take questions.
Thank you very much, Paul. We've got time for a couple of questions if anyone would like to ask. You've done, Councillor Johansson.
Oh yeah, thank you. So in regards to the LTP, do you think there's sufficient information for people to have made submissions around the costs of the CRAF projects or the street renewals?
Well, yeah, the information has been changing. It's been a rolling wall of changes, so there are no, but I don't blame staff for that. It's been difficult for all of us, I think.
Right. So would you support council bringing forward some of the program level budgets?
One. That's it. Councillor Coker.
You've got the comment there about low-income families struggling to dispose of waste. Are you talking about like large items that have to take to the dump that cost a lot to?
Yeah. So when I don't have a truck or anything, but I have a small car with a tow bar. When I need to take stuff to the dump, I hire a trailer and I put stuff on a trailer and I take it to the dump. But that's you're talking almost $50 sometimes, and sometimes more. I've done a lot of door knocking. There are a lot of households that cannot afford to do that, and there's a lot of rubbish that they struggle to dispose of.
Okay. Kelly.
Thanks for a fantastic, positive endorsement of council. The one issue that is above all others, what would you say? The Pages Road Bridge?
That's our priority, Pages Road Bridge. It's essential.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes.
Thank you for your submission. You've mentioned that you'd rather not see council borrow $93 million over the next 10 years to fund the renewals by borrowing for that section that we currently rate for. Now that's been baked in, so if we don't take the option of borrowing for that portion of the renewals, the rates will increase by 1.8. Have you got a comment there? Would you rather see a rate increase or borrowing for another couple of years?
So I didn't make a comment in the written submission, but I do think that I understand the choice. It's just that the council and the public need to be aware that that's a choice that's been made, and there are other options. But I think given the cost of living, it's preferable to do what you've done, but it has an opportunity cost.
Yep. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Paul. It was gold.
Thank you.
Good on you. Next we have Jason from Fendalton